Hey guys, in this month's Historical Fiction 101, I'm going to be sharing with you some recommendations for steampunk. So, what is steampunk exactly? I'm going to read you guys off a synopsis, I suppose, a definition of steampunk. I am looking at Wikipedia. You guys, bear with me. I know you're not really supposed to rely on Wikipedia, but I need fast answers. So yeah, what is steampunk exactly? Steampunk is a subgenre of science fiction that incorporates retro-futuristic technology and aesthetics inspired by 19th century industrial steam-powered machinery. Steampunk works are often set in an alternative history of the Victorian era or the American Wild West, where steam power remains in mainstream use, or in a fantasy world that similarly employs steam power. So that you get my drift. That's essentially kind of what steampunk is. Kind of very anachronistic in some ways. Like I said, you can often find it in the Victorian era, if something's set in the Victorian era, or if something's set in like the American Wild West, for instance. Yeah, there'll be things used that would not have existed at that time period, obviously. So that's kind of definitely a good way to kind of figure out if you're reading a steampunk book or not. So yeah, I managed to find 10 books that sounded like steampunk. I am relying that when I was looking on Goodreads, because there was like a whole list on Goodreads, like all the top like steampunk books. So I'm relying that all this is accurate, you guys, because a lot of this I have not read or anything. But yeah, these are 10 recommendations that I found that might interest you guys. And as I typically do with these types of videos, I'm going to be here on Goodreads looking down at my computer and whatnot. So if you have any further interest in these books, go check them out on Goodreads. So, first up, the Parasol Protectorate series by Gail Carriger. Alexia Terabody is laboring under a great many social tribulations. First, she has no soul. Second, she's a spinster, whose father is both Italian and dead. Third, she was rudely attacked by a vampire, breaking all standards of social etiquette. Where to go from there? From bad to worse, apparently, for Alexia accidentally kills the vampire, and then the appalling Lord Macon, loud, messy, gorgeous, and werewolf, is sent by Queen Victoria to investigate. With unexpected vampires appearing and expected vampires disappearing, everyone seems to believe Alexia responsible. Can she figure out what is actually happening to London's high society? Will her soulless ability to negate supernatural powers prove useful or just plain embarrassing? Finally, who is the real enemy? And do they have treacle tarts? I have read the Parasol Protectorate series, and I did really love it. They were just so fun and so great, and I think it was kind of my first experience with steampunk, if I'm not mistaken, and it was great. I loved it. The Leviathan series by Scott Westerfield. Prince Alexander, would-be heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, is on the run. His own people have turned on him. His title is worthless. All he has is a battle-torn war machine and a loyal crew of men. Darren Sharp is a commoner disguised as a boy in the British Air Service. She's a brilliant airman, but her secret is in constant danger of being discovered. With World War I brewing, Alex and Darren's paths cross in the most unexpected way, taking them on a fantastical around-the-world adventure that will change both their lives forever. The Clockwork Century trilogy by Sherry Priest. In the early days of the Civil War, rumors of gold in the frozen Klondike brought hordes of newcomers to the Pacific Northwest. Anxious to compete, Russian prospectors commissioned inventor Leviticus Blue to create a great machine that could mine through Alaska's ice. Thus was Dr. Blue's incredible bone-shaking drill engine born. But on its first test run, the bone shaker went terribly awry, destroying several blocks of downtown Seattle and unearthing a subterranean vein of black gas that turned anyone who breathed it into the living dead. Oh my, this is not only steampunk, but a zombie book as well, it sounds like. Now it is 16 years later, and a wall has been built to enclose the devastated and toxic city. Just behind its just beyond it lives Blue's widow, Briar Wilkes. Life is hard with a ruined reputation and a teenage boy to support, but she and Ezekiel are managing until Ezekiel undertakes a secret crusade to rewrite history. His quest will take him under the wall and into a city teeming with ravenous undead, air pirates, criminal overlords, and heavily armed refugees, and only Briar can bring him out alive. The Infernal Devices series by Cassandra Clare. And this is part of Cassandra Clare's Shadowhunter universe, and these are a prequel to the main trilogy, The Mortal Instruments. So, the year is 1878. Tessa Gray descends into London's dark supernatural underworld in search of her missing brother. She soon discovers that her only allies are the demon-slaying Shadowhunters, including Will and Jim, the mysterious boys she is attracted to. Soon they find themselves up against the Pandemonium Club, a secret organization of vampires, demons, warlocks, and humans, equipped with a magical army of unstoppable clockwork creatures. The club is out to rule the British Empire, and only Tessa and her allies can stop them. I love the Infernal Devices. So good. The Girl in the Steel Corset by Katie Cross, and this is part of the Steampunk Chronicles. In 1897 England, 16-year-old Finley Jane has no one except the thing inside her. When a young lord tries to take advantage of Finley, she fights back and wins, but no normal Victorian girl has a darker side that makes her capable of knocking out a full-grown man with one punch. Only Griffin King sees the magical darkness inside her that says she's special, says she's one of them. The orphan duke takes her in from the gaslit streets against the wishes of his band of misfits. Emily, who has her own special abilities, and an unrequited love for Sam, who is part robot, and Jasper, an American cowboy with a shadowy secret. Griffin's investigating a criminal called the Machinist, the mastermind behind several recent crimes by automatons. Finley thinks she can help and finally be a part of something, finally fit in. But the Machinist wants to tear Griff's little company of strays apart, and it isn't long before trust is tested on all sides. At least Finley knows whose side she's on, even if it seems no one believes her. Kiss of Steel, and this is part of the London Steampunk series. Most people avoid the dreaded Whitechapel district. For Honoria, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. For Honoria Todd, it's the last safe haven, but at what price? Blade is known as the master of the rookeries. No one dares cross him. It's been said he faced down the Echelon's army single-handedly, that ever since being infected by the blood craving, he's been quicker, stronger, and almost immortal. When Honoria shows up at his door, his tenuous control comes close to snapping. She's so innocent. He doesn't see her backbone of steel, or that she could be the very salvation he's been seeking. So this sounds like it's like steampunk meets vampires. The Friday Society by Adrian Kress. Set in turn-of-the-century London, the Friday Society follows the stories of three very intelligent and talented young women, all of whom are assistants to powerful men. Cora, lab assistant, Mikiko, Japanese flight assistant, and Nellie, magician's assistant. The three young women's lives become inexorably intertwined after a chance meeting at a ball that ends with the discovery of a murdered mystery man. It's up to these three in their own charming but bold way to solve the murder and the crimes they believe may be connected to it without calling too much attention to themselves. The Paper Magician, and this is part of the Paper Magician series by Charlie N. Holmberg. Sienna Twill, I think that's how her name is pronounced, Sienna Twill, arrives at the cottage of magician Emery Thane with a broken heart. Having graduated at the top of her class from the Tagus Craft School for the Magically Inclined, Sienna is assigned an apprenticeship in paper magic despite her dreams of bespelling metal, and what she's bonded to paper, that will be her only magic forever. Yet the spells Sienna learns under the strange yet kind Thane turn out to be more marvelous than she could ever have imagined, animating paper creatures, bringing stories to life via ghostly images, even reading fortunes. But as she discovers these wonders, Sienna also learns of the extraordinary dangers of forbidden magic. An excisener, a practitioner of dark flesh magic, invades the cottage and rips Thane's heart from his chest. Oh my god, is that a spoiler? Goodreads God. To save her teacher's life, Sienna must face the evil magician and embark on an unbelievable adventure that will take her into the chambers of Thane's still beating heart. Okay, he's not dead. And reveal the very soul of the man. The Ironworm Affair, and this is part of the Bannon and Claire series by Lilith St. Crow. That's a great name, Lilith St. Crow. Emily Bannon, forensic sorceress in the service of the Empire, has a mission to protect Archibald Clare, a failed, unregistered Mintath. His skills of deduction are legendary, and her own sorcery is not inconsiderable. It doesn't help much that they barely tolerate each other, or that Bannon's shield, Michael, might just be a traitor himself, or that the conspiracy killing registered Mintaths and sorcerers alike will just as likely kill them as seduce them into treachery toward their queen. Oh no. Etiquette and Espionage, and this is part of the Finishing School series, and this is also by Gail Carringer. I think this is like a spin-off of the Parasol Protectorate series. I think Gail Carringer has quite a number of spin-offs from the Parasol Protectorate series. 14-year-old Sophronia is a great trial to her poor mother. Sophronia is more interested in dismantling clocks and climbing trees than proper manners, and the family can only hope that company never sees her atrocious curtsy. Mrs. Tremenick is desperate for her daughter to become a proper lady, so she enrolls Sophronia, there's some names you guys, in Mademoiselle Geraldine's Finishing Academy for young ladies of quality. But Sophronia soon realizes the school is not quite what her mother might have hoped. At Mademoiselle Geraldine's, young ladies learn to finish everything. Certainly, they learn the fine arts of dance, dress, and etiquette, but they also learn to deal out death, diversion, and espionage, in the politest possible way, of course. Sophronia and her friends are in for a rousing first year's education. So you guys, that is it for all of the recommendations that I found for the steampunk genre. In the comments below, what other good steampunk books are out there that maybe I should go check out? Especially considering that I love the Parasol Protectorate series and the Infernal Devices. What other series or books would you recommend me? So that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye guys.